And welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Chris Kelso. Remember, you can reach us 7x24 online at priceofbusiness.com. And right now on air, we have Will Holder, president of Trendmaker Homes. Will, how are you doing?
Hey, fine, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, I always love having you on board here because a couple of things. Number one, you're with a very renowned company here in Houston, Trendmaker Homes. Do me a favor and first and foremost, let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Will Holder. I'm the president of Trendmaker Homes, which is a 42-year-old Houston home building company. We build all over the city. We build kind of a high-end move-up home, and I've been in the Houston home building for over 30 years. I was the 2012 president of the Greater Houston Home Builders Association, and really active in the industry and enjoy my work a lot.
I'll tell you what, and aside from being a good friend of mine, he's a great individual. I tell everybody out there, and for full disclosure, I am actually a Trendmaker homeowner, and I tell everybody this all the time. One, and if not the best home I have ever owned, not only from a building perspective and the process I went through, but also post-closing, all the little details that took place, the service, the warranty. We're going to get into that actually in the second half right now, but what I want to start off by talking about is a little bit about Houston and the general real estate market. How, obviously, being president of GHBA, it's been a tremendous year in 2012, and 2013 is looking just as good so far.
Absolutely, Chris. Chris, we're in an anomaly phase right now in the sense that in Houston, over the last 3 years, there have been between 75,000 and 90,000 new jobs created each year over the last 36 months in Houston. And historically, what Houston has produced is one new home for every 3 new jobs created. And if you look back over 10 or 20 years, you'll find that will happen, that those homes will be built to satisfy the just basically the demand created by the new jobs. And so with 75,000 to 90,000 new jobs a year created over the last 3 years, we should have been building 25 to 30,000 new homes every year. But, Chris, we've been building about 20,000 new homes over the last 3 years, basically underserving the demand created by the new jobs. So you ask, where are those people going? I mean, what's going on right now in Houston? This is a fact that I don't know how many people know, but there's more people employed in the city of Houston today than have ever been employed in the city of Houston in the entire history.
Wow.
So we have employment here at the highest level ever. And so where are those people that from the new jobs going? Where are they living? Well, they're renting, Chris. Rents are at an all-time high in Houston right now. And actually, the interesting kind of flip phenomenon is that people are renting houses at a rental rate that is higher than their mortgage payment would be to live in the exact same home. And they have done this over the last 3 years. They have chosen to rent rather than to buy, and that's driven rents up. Now, and this cannot last. It's not a sustainable arrangement. People will ultimately make the decision to buy and spend less money than they are renting, and then basically giving their money away. And that's going to create a big demand in Houston, and in my opinion, that I think that it's just bubbling up, Chris. There's only the MLS listings. The number of homes on MLS is at the lowest level in either 8 or 12 years. I forget, but it's a long time, very low level. About 25,000 houses available on the market right now, and when you get down that low, Chris, you find that the quality of houses, the number of really attractive properties is low.
Correct.
And so, people go out. Also, in new home inventory is tracked by Metro Study, a local group here that literally physically does a count once a quarter of empty inventory. It's also down. The new homes available, the quantity of spec homes out there is down significantly. So you have low inventory of used homes, low inventory of new homes, and frankly, you have a bottled up demand in the marketplace right now. I think, it's just how long can people stand to pay rents that are more than what would pay in a mortgage payment, and I don't think they're going to stay there very long.
I would absolutely agree with you. You know, we talk about pent-up demand. There's a lot of it right now. What we've seen, obviously, over the past couple of years is the oil and gas industry has continued to be a real boon for Houston, and between BP and Exxon and Shell and Chevron Phillips or ConocoPhillips, all of them right now are growing. And one of the things we are seeing is individuals are now starting to look and say, I am paying more in rent than I could possibly be paying on a mortgage, especially considering right now that the economy and the economics for having a home right now is so economical. You're never going to find rates as low as they are right now.
Exactly, Chris. It's literally almost like free money when you look at what it cost you to own the home over 30 years relative to what it did 10 years ago or 5 years ago. It's just a bargain beyond belief.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's not go too far. As we mentioned right there, 10 years ago, the average rates were in the 10s. Today, the average rates are in the 3s. You're never going to be able to get a mortgage at the rate they are right now. And then also, as you're mentioning right there is still, we're at a low amount of inventory from an MLS perspective and from a building perspective. But let me tell you, relative to the rest of the nation, you are not going to find home prices at a better level than what Houston has for what you get for the money.
That's always been the case. I mean, Houston is the bargain of the entire nation. And Chris, it's a function of free market works in Houston. We don't have zoning. We don't have city councils saying where homes can be and how big they must be and telling landowners what to do with their land. When the market overheated in the 2007 and 6 range, Houston prices stayed steady, just a steady eddy with like a 4% appreciation. Did not shoot up to those 20% levels that saw around the country that then later crashed. We had no boom, but we had no bust either. And now that the market has cooled way down and volumes have gone down, prices didn't fall through that whole period, Chris. I mean, people who bought a home at the peak still had the value in their home, and that's a great thing about Houston.
I would absolutely agree. You know, one of the things I tell everybody, a famous story, my sister in California who bought a home, which is a relatively modest home by Texas standards, for about $750. 5 years later, was worth almost $2 million. She decided not to sell it, and then 3 years after the bust, ended up selling it for about $200,000 less than she bought it for. Those types of things were taking place all over other areas of the country. Houston not experiencing that. And because of that, that's why we've maintained a very strong real estate market, a really strong building market. Individuals who invest in Houston, who have invested in Houston, while they might not have had huge appreciations, they haven't lost on their investment right now in the real estate market.
And you know, Chris, one thing I always tell my friends and my family when they ask me about, appreciation in Houston and the houses and making money on a house and owning a house. I mean, the truth is, a home is not a pure investment. It's not like something you buy and put in your Schwab account. I mean, it's something that you use. You're the end user. You get to use the home. So if you buy a home and you live in it for 10 years and then you sell it for let's say the exact same amount of money that you bought it for, even zero appreciation, I mean, what other product in our lives do we get to buy and use and sell? And basically, I mean, if you bought a home for $350,000, lived in it for 5 years, sold it for $350,000, I mean, what else in your life? If I told you, Chris, go buy a new car, come back to me in 4 years, and I'll give you what you paid for it, I don't think you'd hesitate to do that.
I would buy that car from you in a heartbeat. And
exactly. And so, it's sort of the same thing on your house. I mean, you buy a house. And in Houston, while we don't have skyrocketing appreciation, we do have some. We have 3 or 4. So if you live in your house for 6 years at 4%, it's up 20, 24%, 25%. Bottom line is it'll pay for your transactional cost to get out of the house, and you've just lived in a home for free.
I would absolutely agree. Will, we're coming up against a break right now. Stay online. All those, stay tuned. We're going to have Will right back to continue this conversation.
Thanks, Chris.